Ministers here present, and thank the leadership of the London Stock Exchange for hosting us in this venue and supporting what we are doing. I also want to recognize the CEO of African Bank, Mr. Kennedy Bungani, and your team. We know that you worked very hard to make sure that we have this opportunity working with the London Stock Exchange. Let me greet once again government officials, ladies and gentlemen, and all the distinguished members who are here this morning. It is an honor once again to address you as we gather to discuss the immense opportunities for increased trade and investment between South Africa and the UK. South Africa and the UK have a long history of trade and collaboration, forged by ideals and a desire for success. Today, as we approach a new era in global economies, it is critical that we grasp the opportunity to strengthen our bonds and explore fresh paths for cooperation. The London Stock Exchange is at the heart of where ideas meet capital and become a reality, with the flexibility to make connections and create real impact. It is a place where we want the South African companies to access London markets, to connect with investors, raise capital, and drive growth. In other words, we would want to see more South African firms list here at the London Stock Exchange. I know that there are about 20 or so who are already here, and many more can come. As a nation, we want to improve our partnership with the London Stock Exchange in order to attract more investments and create an environment in which companies may prosper and generate employment for our citizens. Working together, we can create new possibilities for trade and investments that will benefit both our economies. We want also to collaborate to overcome the difficulties that exist in our different nations. We face obstacles like climate change, stagnant economic growth, poverty, inequality, but also high levels of unemployment in South Africa. These challenges necessitate greater political cooperation and the implementation of policies and measures aimed to improving our nation's economic situation. We assure you that South Africa is committed to reviving its economy, achieving northward advancements in economic growth and development. Following the general election this year in May, we have established a government of national unity, which brings together 10 political parties to promote national unity and stability. The GNU has been working tirelessly in unity and instructed by voters to address South Africans' concerns. The GNU will continue to boost our economic and bilateral ties as it has done, as this has been done so for decades. As this administration will continue to hold the United Kingdom in high regard, not just for historical reasons, but also for the enormous potential for partnership and progress between our nations. Through initiatives such as the Economic Reconstruction and Recovery Plan, we are prioritizing spending across infrastructure, providing employment stimulus to sustain jobs, and implementing measures to deepen local industrialization. The recovery plan is underpinned by a social compact between government, business, labor, and other sector representatives. Operation Vulindlela, a task team under the presidency, is addressing the ongoing implementation of the existing structural reforms that are needed. Its successes includes boosting investment in electricity generation and drawing up plans that are now being implemented to allow for more private participation, or should I say private sector participation, in the country's freight rail system or network. Operation Vulindlela has already unlocked plus minus 500 billion rands in investments. According to the Stellenbosch-based Bureau of Economic Research, if the program's reforms take hold, economic growth in South Africa may accelerate to 3.5% by 2029. Ladies and gentlemen, today I stand pleased because our nation has progressed in solving power challenges. Regular power outages are no longer an issue, and we have enjoyed continuous electricity supply since March of this year. This demonstrates South Africa's commitment to creating an enabling environment for investments. During the election campaign in South Africa, I would go to rallies and say to people, load shedding will never come back. And they look at me like, so you want us to vote? I could see, and I'll look at them and say, you don't believe me, right? But program director, that's where we are now. We are sorting out this to create an enabling environment for investments. But I think let's all understand that this was not achieved overnight. In July, in 2022, President Cyril Ramaphosa announced the Energy Action Plan, whose key interventions include, amongst others, fix Eskom and improve the availability of existing supply, enable and accelerate private investments in generation capacity, fast-track the procurement of new generation capacity for renewables, gas, and battery storage, unleash businesses and households to invest in rooftop solar, and fundamentally transform the electricity sector to achieve long-term energy security. Furthermore, Eskom announced the 2-year generation operational recovery plan, the primary goal of which was to improve the quantity of electricity, known as the energy availability factor. And we agreed that Eskom should push that to 70% of the network's capacity. At the same time, Eskom restructured its leadership and operations, which many see as a critical element of this success. Eskom has also been progressively adding alternative energy sources, such as wind and solar, to help address the energy shortage. Our objective is to transition away from fossil fuels towards sustainable energy sources in accordance with global trends. However, we are doing it at a speed and pace in a way that is consistent with our country's growth path. Additionally, South Africa is embarking on an ambitious just energy transition, which required large-scale investment of approximately 100 billion US dollars from a range of both public and private sector sources, using a range of financing instruments. To meet its emission reduction targets and safeguard vulnerable communities and workers from transition risks, South Africa has a clear plan for the just energy transition investments required. The just energy transition's investment requirements and possibilities includes renewable energy, electricity transmission and distribution infrastructure, green hydrogen, new energy vehicles, energy transition skills, and economic diversification. Private investments, public-private partnerships, and foreign partners are critical for South Africa to accomplish its just energy transition goals. Investors can be an important partner for South Africa as the energy sector undergoes major transformation. Ladies and gentlemen, let me take this opportunity also to highlight that South Africa is amongst the top 5 African countries with best infrastructure. Our objective is to be the leading nation with the greatest infrastructure to meet demands of regular citizens and also enterprises. Infrastructure South Africa, ISA, the main force behind the National Infrastructure Plan 2050, has done a tremendous deal of work, including resolving legislative and regulatory issues that obstruct investment and boosting investor confidence. During March of this year, President Cyril Ramaphosa unveiled 12 major projects that the Department of Public Works and ISA are prioritizing to attract investment, and they include the following: 2.1 billion rands liquid natural gas import terminal in KwaZulu-Natal, 38 billion rands Durban container terminal, also a project in KwaZulu-Natal, 2.2 billion Beth A 100 liquid bulk project in the Eastern Cape, 7.5 billion rand Ukuvuselela rail project between Gauteng and the Eastern Cape, aimed at assisting particularly car and component manufacturers and exporters. 30 billion rand Eskom Mossel Bay gas project, 35.8 billion rand Eskom Tubatse pumped hydro storage project, and lastly but not least, 35.8 billion rand Rooival Phase 2 wastewater project in the city of Tshwane. Our fiscal policy will continue to focus on providing a clear and stable macroeconomic framework that supports growth, implementing reforms that increase our economy's competitiveness, and prioritizing investment in infrastructure through improvements in the infrastructure pipeline, its execution, and its financing. The South African government faces a significant financing gap for its infrastructure portfolio, which could potentially require additional funding. As reflected in the budget review, total infrastructure investment planned by the South African government over the next 3 years amounts to 943 billion rands, almost close to $1 trillion. The National Treasury is attempting to raise funding for public sector infrastructure or infrastructure projects by the Budget Facility for Infrastructure through the Budget Facility for Infrastructure window, which includes concessioning financing from the Multilateral Development Bank and development partner countries. The National Treasury is currently screening potential funding projects. We urge financing institutions to participate in funding some of these projects once they receive the BFI approval. Ladies and gentlemen, let me conclude by highlighting that over the past years, the countries have frequently collaborated politically in various multilateral organizations to advance shared ideals and objectives, including in the G20 and the United Nations Security Council. Most recently, during Prime Minister Starmer's call to President Ramaphosa in July, the two leaders reaffirmed their commitment to strengthening ties. President Ramaphosa aspired for more alignment with the United Kingdom at both the national and global levels. The Prime Minister agreed that the G20 will serve as a venue for promoting common objectives in issues like climate change, economic development, but also dealing with issues of inequality. We appreciate your support and would like to invite you to take advantage also of the African Free Trade Agreement, of which South Africa is a member. The Free Trade Agreement is a high-level trade agreement that aims to gradually bring together all 55 African Union member states, covering a market of more than 1.3 billion people, with a comprehensive scope that includes critical areas of Africa's economy, such as digital trade, investment, and trade in goods and services, amongst others. The African Continental Free Trade Area aims to significantly increase intra-African trade, particularly value-added products and trade across all sectors of Africa's economy. Our unique position at Africa's door makes us an ideal partner for firms looking to expand throughout the continent. We always say to ourselves, we are a gateway into Africa. So those of you who want to invest in the African continent, come to South Africa. We will get you there. So you can open your office in Sandton, in Joburg, Cape Town. It's a 2-hour flight to many of the African countries. So it's easy to do business from there. As I end, ladies and gentlemen, I extend an invitation to companies and investors in attendance here today and many more others to investigate the prospects that South Africa presents. South Africa is prepared to work with you every step of the way, whether your goals are developing renewable energy, extending your market reach, or developing infrastructure. In other words, anything that you desire, your objective, your goals, we are open for business. Thank you very much.